Hello, Katja. Hello, hello.
Hello, Helen. Hello to you as well.
Welcome. This is so exciting. You are my first ever podcast guest. So I'm a
I'm
little
so honored, honestly.
well, I'm so happy to have you on here, and I'm a little nervous, so bear with me.
Of course.
I'll just introduce everyone to the lovely Katja. So I know Katja because she taught me to be a yoga teacher back in, gosh, when was it now?
Finishing 2020, at the beginning of lockdown.
So we did it for 3.5 years. So it was
Yeah,
2018, wasn't it? And I did
I think so, yes.
I did the
20.
foundation course
Hmm. Yes.
with you before, which was about that was quite long, wasn't it? I think it was about 8 months.
Yeah. They need to be 6 months minimum, so it was about 6 to 8, between 6 and 8 months. Yeah.
So Katja, the lovely Katja Patel, I've known her for quite a long time, so it's a real honour to have my lovely teacher on. Um, Katja runs Zest for Yoga and Ayurveda, which are yoga classes, online courses, and she's also an Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle consultant, which we're going to talk about what that is more later.
Yes.
And I'm excited for that. And she's a yoga teacher trainer extraordinaire.
Oh, thank you.
Katja has been teaching yoga for over 25 years and practicing for 30 plus years. And to me, she lives the yogic lifestyle every day. She is an exemplar of living the yogic way and everything she does. So she really is an authority. For me, she is a real authority on all that is yoga. She's married with 2 kids and
Yes,
has a lovely dog, a beautiful Weimaraner called Lola.
that's right. Thank you, Helen,
So that's
for that. I'm quite honored, to
oh, it's all true, isn't it?
it is, yes. It is true, yes. But I when you said you're living the yoga lifestyle, which I think I do, but it's not what everyone probably thinks that I'm zenning out all the time and sort of hovering, you know, above the floor, which is not the case, just to bust that bubble straight, straight away.
Well, that is something we are going to talk about. That's one of my questions for you because I think that's really important to say that you're also a human being and
Exactly.
and
First and foremost. Yeah.
exactly. And that's something that I want to share in my teaching is that it's not about being perfect and zen all the time because human beings aren't. And that's the beauty of
Exactly.
yoga, isn't it? That
Yes.
it's designed for humans. But can we come back to that a little bit later?
Absolutely. I just wanted to get this out, not that
Mm.
because it is people in general, they think, oh, you're relaxed all the time. It's just not the case. So, yeah, I want to get that out early.
No, it's so important, isn't it? Because a while ago, I remember being in a yoga class and I'd written some blog post, and this lady said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're human too." And for some reason, people think yoga teachers have it all figured out and that, just
Exactly.
sitting there going om in the corner. And yes, we do that too, but
Yes. But in between, it is, I mean, especially if you sort of live this, what is in yoga, this householder life. Yeah, you have a family or you have a job maybe as well on the side, and then this is just really different. You need to fit everything into your life, and you think yoga is what helps you live that life purposefully. not necessarily all the time calm and collected, but it is more about, the meaning that you see, how you find your life um, uh, helpful or purpose, in to contribute in this world as well.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
have a light entry into that conversation.
We're getting straight in there. I love it. No, I love it. And it's something so important because it makes it so much more real and relatable. And actually, I think there is a real, I don't know if you agree with this, but there's like a real kind of, mm, there's almost like this myth that, yeah, you do yoga, you're a yoga teacher, you know everything. Well, not necessarily
Yeah.
everything, but you've got it all figured out. You're always zen, you're always calm. And none of the yoga practices are or schools of yoga say that even, even,
No, that's
people that have,
right.
yeah, been practicing, and even swamis and gurus have their moments, enlightened beings have their moments.
Absolutely, because they are also in the body, right?
Exactly.
So you are in the body, then this what comes with all of what the yoga philosophy is about that.
Mm.
And this was 1,000 years ago, or more than thousands of years ago. They seem to have the same issues that we have. So we haven't much evolved, I have to say, in that
No, I
issue
don't think so.
of being content in our life, or uh, seeing the purpose of our life, and in these sort of interhuman relationships. Yeah, but I think this, for me, that's what yoga is about, really, to sort of to fit this all in and try to make sense of it based on that.
Mm. Mm. That leads me to my first question. So, what was your first, could you share your first experience of yoga?
Mm. My first experience of yoga was when I accompanied one of my colleagues to a yoga class, which I didn't want to, because for me, this was yoga was always a hippie thing. That
Mhm.
shows how long I'm, around on this earth as well.
No
But it
age
was
is
also
mentioned here.
this, but that was really that sort of connection was still there to the 60s, and long hair and flowery, flowy clothes, and that wasn't me then when I started. Isn't me yet either, but I mean, then when I started, that was definitely not me. And I wanted to learn to meditate. That was what I was after then, and I started Buddhist meditation, not very successfully, but I was on a mission to do that, and so she asked me to accompany her, and I said to her, if you get a class where there is not this hippie business going on, I'll come with you.
Hippie business.
It was yeah, it was really something. I don't know. It was really strong in me then that this is not what I am, and so she did, and so we joined a 45-minute beginners. That was a beginners course, and yeah, it was just amazing, honestly, because I have scoliosis since a teenager, and I have forever had back aches. I needed to, my legs were hurting, my whole body was always in aches, and when I left that session, I was just floating, and I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. I thought, okay, I have to be back next week. And that's what I did.
Amazing. So it had that straight away.
It had that, absolutely. I really I went in with no I didn't even know what yoga was, about all my, preconceptions that I had beforehand, but I had really no clue what yoga is about. And I've always been quite sporty, and I've always done something with my body. And so I was fairly flexible. But when I left that, I just thought, wow, this is unbelievable. And yeah, and then I wanted that again and again
And again,
and again. So,
you get a bit addicted to that.
yes,
It's
yes.
interesting though that you were drawn. What was it that drew you to learn to meditate before, you know?
Um, I had a very stressful relationship beforehand,
Hmm.
which ended, and it was an extremely stressful time for me. And I did some traveling in Asia, and I noticed that, they bring in their spirituality in a completely different way. They sort of have, when I went to Thailand, they have this little houses for the spirits in front of the
Mm.
house, and light incense sticks and all of that. And I thought, wow, this is quite different, and I was just interested in that. And I've always been interested in spirituality, so I did read throughout my teenage years lots of books, also about Buddhism. Religions always have interested me, and so when I read the books, and when I saw how they lived their life there, I thought, this is something that I need to try. And I knew to overcome this stress and sort of finding my way again, that this has to come from the inside.
Mm.
And that was always very clear to me, that it was inside me what I had to tidy up, or I had to shift. And meditation seemed to be the way forward. But it was the sitting still for an hour. I was sort of the guide, and after a minute, I was in agony, and I thought, I can't deal with that. This is just so, yeah,
Very hard.
it seemed to be undoable, really impossible for me to do. And yeah, so I joined that. Um, not as a replacement, but just to accompany her. And then over time, I also learned, they also did meditation there, and that yoga has this whole philosophy around it, which started to answer lots of my questions and made so much sense to me.
Mm. Mm. I think it's so telling when you ask people that question, their first what took them to their first yoga class or
Mm,
teacher. And there is always seems to be this inner calling, even though it's from somewhere else. You know, you felt the need to meditate and you've been to Asia and
yes.
the Buddhist way. And then this opportunity just kind of comes along. And I think it's really beautiful. And to me, that's another sign that the universe is kind of, or the divine, whatever you believe, is
Yeah,
showing you that way
absolutely.
forward.
Yeah, yeah. I'm totally believing that, you
Mm.
get moved into the direction you need to go. And if you take the left turn instead of the right turn, then you get shown this was the wrong turn for you. You have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
move back, and you meet people, or you come into situations where you always have another opportunity to join that path again that you were supposed to take in the first place. And yeah, I do believe that's absolutely true.
mm. What was your upbringing like in Germany? Were your parents religious or spiritual? Or?
Well, no, not my parents. I mean, my mother maybe a little bit, but my grandmother. And so I did have, so we went into Sunday school and, through that whole, through the whole sort of church-like what you could do as a child. And it has always been, I mean, and I went to church for quite a long time, till my teenage years, where I felt that it is just too constricting and that it is too much this, if you do that, that's it. There's no way out. There's no do-over. There's nothing. Just and it didn't get on with me, this kind of thinking. And I also had an issue with that the church thought that it's only them. All the other religions, they didn't mean anything. They were just wrong. I thought that's the wrong thinking. So that's why I left. I left the church, because I think I'm not a religious person. I'm more a spiritual.
Mm.
And then my teacher later, he used to say, no, everyone needs that. Some people need that religious container to grow in there, because they need these strict guidelines, and other people, they don't need that. And I thought, okay, I'm with the other people's section, because it was just too much for me. But it always was, in me.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, isn't it? Because it's very similar for me in that my dad was, bless him, very
Mm.
complete atheist, very science-minded man, but he loved nature, and that
Yeah.
I have that. And then my mum was brought up as a Christian, friendly Christian, so we went
Yes.
to Sunday school and everything. But I remember praying to Jesus as a little girl and being
Mm.
like, who is this person and who is this man in the sky? And it never fit, but I always felt I loved churches.
Mm.
I loved I don't know if you can relate to this, but just the atmosphere of being in a
Yes.
sacred space, and the ritualization of
Mm.
the services, the candles, the incense, the mysticism.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I can relate to that. I loved monasteries. I still love them, because they have something. It is the energy that is in these places, because certain, like you said, these rituals, these routines, they are there. They have been practiced there for years and years and years, and that energy is what we feel, and what we also get drawn towards, even if it is not our belief system that we enter there, but still you feel that energy, and it is something different and something quite special.
Yeah, I love that. Even now, I still like going to
Mm.
a cathedral or a church and just sitting there and soaking it up. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I don't think anyone minds.
No.
You don't have to tell your story, do you? You just have to sit and enjoy the
Exactly. Just,
space.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right.
Mm, mm.
Yes.
So, what was it that led you to become a yoga teacher? So, after your initial lovely class, and you were just in there addicted to that
I
feeling.
was, absolutely. I moved then from the beginners to the intermediates, and it was really my yoga teacher then. She was a teacher trainer, and with, I think, after 2 or 3 years, she said, "Look, I'm starting this teacher training. I think it would be good for you." And I thought, don't think so. I did like the curriculum, because it had the philosophy in it, and but I never thought that I'm going to teach, because I thought, this is not for me. And she kept pestering me.
She
Really, she said,
knew.
I do think it is good, and every time when I came, she said, "Look, you should think about it." And
Mm.
then one day I thought, "Okay, I'll give in here." Maybe, maybe, maybe it's something I need to do, but I definitely wanted to learn about the philosophy. So I thought, okay, it is not completely off my plan. And that's how I started. But that's really, and even through, I would say, 3/4 of my training, I was not thinking about teaching. I didn't think that this is something that I'm actually going to do afterwards.
So sorry, I just had some dogs barking.
Yes.
I'm just going to shut this door. They're shut away in two doors, but before we lose our flow. Okay, so a little pause for editing. So, what kind of yoga was it that you were learning with your teacher? Or practice?
I think that it's what you call Hatha yoga, right? Just know it was not Iyengar yoga, it was not Ashtanga yoga, it was Hatha yoga. But she was heavily influenced by Iyengar and also Shivananda. And so it was sort of I think a little bit of everything and what she felt, what makes sense to her.
Mm, sounds fascinating, actually. I've always fancied, I've never actually been to an Iyengar class, but I've always.
Neither have I. I think I don't think I would get on with this strictness. I think I have something with this strictness, where
The
where
metal chairs scare me slightly. Yeah.
I think it is. I think he had an enormous impact, and
Yeah.
all the props that he used really was, all the props that we have now came from Iyengar yoga, and so he has contributed really a lot to how we practice yoga now. Um, but this strictness of this, you know needing to be exactly into that. There was no give. I think this is something that I find difficult to fit in.
Mm, mm. And for some people, that's perfect
Exactly.
for them,
That's
isn't it?
exactly what they need. Yes,
Mm,
yes, yes.
mm, mm. So I think it's quite similar. People that like Ashtanga, they need that framework of doing the
Mm,
same. You do that, and then you do that, and then you do that, and then you do it again. Whereas I'm more like you, and I love the fluidity of Hatha, and now as teachers we can bring in different elements from our own experience, can't we? Like your teacher did.
yes, absolutely. I think it is important. You try different things, um, and everything that you get drawn to and you try, there's something that you can take from that, and make it sort of your own. If it fits you and you slot in, then that's absolutely great, and if not, then that's equally great. There's no right or wrong in that sense.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the beauty, isn't it, again, of yoga, is that there is a kind or a type
Mm.
practice for absolutely everyone, isn't there?
It absolutely is. Yes, yes. And I think this is also the when you become a yoga teacher, maybe you remember that this is something that might be the most difficult for you, is there's no black and white. There's lots of gray shades where you need to get your head around, and it is not like, what is good for that? What does how does it supposed to feel? And well, you said there's nothing that you need to supposed to feel, but it's the yeah, the mind needs a particular answer for making sense to something, and might find it difficult to just free flow a little and experience. But that was my teacher was very big in it. How does it feel? And if you gave a generic answer, she always picked up on that. And that's not, no, how did it feel? So, and yeah. So yeah, there's lots of ways to open your mind
Mm.
in yoga.
Do you think that's particular of us as Western practitioners, that we like to know, okay, I'm doing that because it gives that outcome?
I think so, because we are very outcome driven. I think when you're in India, it's different because they tell you what you need to do, and they don't question so much. They don't have this system. Maybe it changes now, but I think in the past it was very much a system that you learn, and that's how it is. And here we need to understand and we need to question, and why am I going to do that? And what is it for? Before we even do it, what is it for? Does it, is it good for me or not? Can I trust that or not? So I think,
Well, that was just the word that was coming up, and I was going to say, do you think, I feel like it's because in India, everything is around spirituality and faith, really, isn't it? Their whole culture, would you agree with that? That
yes,
it's is bound in this kind of faith and belief, everything, almost everything that they do around the day
yes,
is
yeah.
around that. And for us, we're so untrusting. When I say us, I mean more in the Western world, more and more so. And so we don't have that kind of, it's not a blind faith,
No,
but it's like it has to earn our trust for us to.
yes,
Would you agree with that?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. But then I think when you go to India, they have very much this culture of the guru and the disciples, and I think it is this learning that way, that you have someone there who is your authority. And it is also there, not blind faith, that they say, but it is the teacher is someone who has experienced something that you haven't yet. And so they have a different trust, they have already made more progress than you have. So that's why they tell you, okay, do it that way, and they follow. And we say, hold on, is that really? Are you sure? And I know I'm very bad with that as well.
Yeah,
Even
really.
if my husband says something, and I say, really, this is like a habit. And he gets sometimes really annoyed with me. Why are you questioning me? I thought it's not really a questioning in that sense. That I'm not doubting, but there is something is there, right? And I think they have maybe they have that more in their culture uh,
Mm.
than we have.
Mm. Yeah,
That's my explanation for
yeah,
that.
no, I think it's absolutely fascinating, and actually that so gets in the way. And for my practice, faith has been a huge trust, and faith has been a really huge thing, actually. Trust in faith in myself and in the process.
Yes.
And I think for a lot of people it is. I think it really
Mm.
is, but it might not be yet uncovered. I was
Yes.
having a chat with one of my one-to-one clients, and he was slightly put off by some of the. I gave him the Yoga Sutras to read, and he was slightly put off with the use of the term God
Yes.
in the
Yes.
in the
Yes.
sutras, and he was like, "But Helen, I thought yoga wasn't religious." And I said, "Well, it's not." And so we had this whole conversation, and he really needed to know, because he's like, "I'm not sticking around for this. If
Hmm.
if this is a cult or a religion that you."
Yes. 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 But it is. I think it. I've done quite a few courses, not yoga related, but the for the online courses, how to structure them, how to do this. And it's the same there, you have someone who shows you how to do it because they have done it, right?
Mm,
And they always say, trust in the process. And there's always this, and that's what I find really amusing, because there's so much similarity to that. And I know there are people who think, okay, maybe I'll do it this way. Trust the process because I've done it before, and
mm,
that's how it works. If you want to go this extra detour, do, but it is really that trusting the practice, right?
mm,
And and I mean, yoga is quite big on that. And I did some journaling this morning around this shraddha, the trust in the practice,
mhm,
and how difficult it is, because as soon as something doesn't show obvious success, or not in a time frame that we have maybe thought out for it, it is this doubt coming in where, oh, is that the right thing to do? Should I still
mm,
do that? Maybe I'll try something different. And but there's no there's not no, but it is so difficult to just carry on with what you do, because that's the way to do it. And yeah, I would say that's the fastest way to do it. Otherwise, you do your detours and then you come back because maybe they didn't lead you into that. They didn't lead you off piste slightly, and you have to come back to that. And yeah, I think when you have done lots of detours, then you think, okay, maybe I just stick with that and do it and see how it develops. I think
mm.
it's our impatience that gets challenged there.
Yes, definitely. And there's a testing of the teacher, isn't there? I mean, um, I think it's so vital, and I've said it so many times already on my podcast, that finding the right teacher, I think, is absolutely crucial. And
Mm,
it'd be really interesting to hear what you think about this. But I think we're also sent the right teacher at the right time.
absolutely. I think so, because if you believe that, or for you that's true, that someone comes along who sort of nudges you into the right direction, because you needed that, or who sort of furthers you in what, or who sees something in you that you don't see, then I think you do. You get the people that move you along on your path. That help you to overcome what keeps you back.
Mm,
What hinders you to progress, to evolve, or whatever you want to do. And sometimes it's not comfortable. It's not the easiest people that they invite you to say, yeah, do that, all will be good. They challenge you and they are difficult, and I think that's important. And yes, I do believe that you get whatever you need.
yeah, definitely. Because I feel so lucky. I feel like I've had fantastic teachers along the
Mm,
way. I found you just kind of by accident when I was thinking about training to be a yoga teacher. But like you, I was like, no, I don't really want to, I just want to learn about it. Do you remember?
yes,
I don't know if
yes.
you remember. And that's why I did the foundation. You said, do the foundation and then find out.
Mm,
It's similar to you. I was like, no, I'm not going to be a teacher. I just want to learn.
yes.
And I do feel very lucky that I've had some incredible teachers along the way,
Mm,
but they have really tested me, pushed me, challenged me.
mm.
Um, it's not been easy.
No, because you need to step up, right? So if you become a yoga teacher, or any goal that you have, I think goals are always where we plan ahead of ourselves. We are not there yet, but that's where we want to go. And we are probably also not ready for that version of us yet, and so we need to learn and we need to overcome things that keep us. We need to sort of step up our game as well. And we need to leave our comfort zone
Mm. Yeah.
frequently and grow through that. And only then we grow. Only when there's friction we grow, because otherwise we're complacent, or content and think, okay, that's me. That's good enough for me. And but if you want something more, or you think you want to go somewhere different, then you need to, you need to grow into that person, and you need people who show you where you need to grow, or where you need to sort of smooth the edges a little, or or where you need to have also a good talking to, and
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely, you need all of that
Mm.
to move out of your smaller into your slightly bigger picture.
Because we can't, it's very hard for us to see within ourselves, although we might be, and I'm talking about myself, but I know this for a lot of people I know, we might have ambitions,
Hmm.
but that real total self-belief, like I'm just gonna, some people have that, don't they? I'm just gonna do this thing, and they do it.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
God, I
I
love
know.
that.
Some are on a mission and they are just super focused,
Yeah,
and I do admire these people,
yeah,
really, because I think that's a true gift, to have that.
that
And
laser.
maybe they have in the past had, someone who took them there, but yeah, it is. So it's the I do like Ashtanga yoga, and
Mhm.
when I go to classes, you see, people who have done this for years and years, for they have nothing, they've done never anything else, not needed anything else. And I think, wow, amazing, right? That you don't have this urge, this need to, that you don't have this thinking of maybe this grass on the other side, is
Greener.
greener than on my pasture, and just to coming back to this trust, that this is what I'm going to do. And this also doesn't need to be blind in the way,
No.
of course. They also try to evolve the style and make it more accessible, obviously. But yeah, because that's when you see the fastest growth as well, I think, is when you stick with something,
Mm.
and yeah, trust. It's all
It's
back
massive.
to the trust.
It's massive, isn't it? It's huge.
It's
It's
it's huge. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
It is huge.
yeah.
Yes. My teacher used to say, doubt will kill you. I thought, really? I don't think so. But
Wow.
I think over the years, I really understood what he meant, because it goes in the smallest details, and in the, your habits and your beliefs and all of that. It really seeps into your whole being, and it keeps you back. That's what it does, right?
Yeah.
Doubt really keeps you from doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
You know?
100%.
Yeah.
And the self-worth piece
Mm.
around all of this is huge, isn't it? And, you know, yeah, really worth looking at. Really worth
It
looking
is absolutely. It is really. It's for, I think, everyone who wants to grow. They need to look at this. You need to look at how we all obviously have been brought up in a certain way. We had parents that did their best to sort of make a decent person out of us. But we might think, or we might have completely different memories of our upbringing where there's some sort of
Yeah.
disconnect between these two sides. But this is what keeps us, right? So us getting stuck with that, I have experienced that, and hence I feel I'm not good enough. And I think it is such a big thing that so many people feel, including myself. I always feel, oh, I'm not good enough for that. I'm not, it's not for me. And then to hear, is it my mother talking, or is it
Mm.
me? Do I need to let go of certain things? And yes, so I find it's very interesting, and I find we all need to go to those places to just to come out of that belief that we have about ourselves, where others might see us completely different than we see ourselves. And it is important to just understand. That's what I think both yoga and Ayurveda invite us to look at. It's not just your history. Your parents grew up in a certain way. They had certain beliefs sort of drummed into them that they drummed into us. And when you have children, so many times, especially with my son as the first one, I thought, what just came out of my mouth was that my mother, because you have these little sentences that come out that you heard your whole life, and all of a sudden you say them, you think, hold on, there's something going wrong here.
Yeah. Oh God, where did that come from?
Yeah, you know where that comes from, but it is really.
Yeah.
So it is to not completely unravel, what we have heard and how that has impacted us, but to see that there is an impression on us, and maybe it is a really strong impression that keeps us, that we just need to let go of.
Mm. Yeah. And how do we, through a yogic lens, how do we begin to let go of that, do you think?
Well, I think it is the practice. You come back to that. If you go to Patanjali, the 8 limbs, that's sort of the practice. You look at your behavior towards yourself, towards others, the way you look after yourself, and then some physical practice, and whatever that is. If someone likes running, then they might run. But it is to do something, that I think it is this repeating of doing something very regularly, to keep us from these likes that we have and these dislikes that we have, that we see ingrained in us. And naturally we follow the likes and we want to avoid the dislikes. So to overcome that, the practice serves us in a way, apart from it gets the body ready, and you releases physical tensions that we have, and strengthen certain areas, and also the systems of the bodies get sort of cleaned up and strengthened. But it is the repeating this, getting up in the morning, although you don't feel like it. It
Yeah.
is, it is not looking at the excuses that we have. Oh, I had a difficult day yesterday, or I was working so much, or it is cold this morning, it is dark, I don't feel, all of these, which are excuses in a way. I mean, sometimes obviously we need to, if we're ill, we need to listen to that. But the majority of what goes on is we just don't feel like it.
Mm.
And hence we follow that avoiding path. And this avoiding path keeps us in this liking it and not liking it, this duality. And moving beyond that through the practice, I think that really helps us to, from the yoga perspective, to sort of overcome all of that, and make us maybe, or help us to make us into the person that we want to be, help us to reach what we want to have. Or you follow the Bhagavad Gita, they have other, there are other paths there, but it is always something that you should or need to do, because if we are not doing it, most of us, they are in that, oh, no, I
Yeah.
get stuck in
Yeah.
that. No, I don't think so. And being indecisive, or playing it small, playing it safe, and yeah. And I think that's how the practice is always overcoming that with doing something very regularly
So
for a
what
long
would
time,
you, for a long time, for 30 years plus, keep going.
at least.
No, I totally agree with that. And as someone who I tend to go, this is my nature, I found. I tend to go through periods of just feeling very stuck when
Yeah.
I'm not sure, or my self-worth has gone down for whatever
Mhm.
reason, or something has been triggered. And I get in this stuck place where all I want to do is be in my little safe zone of nothingness.
Yes.
But at the same time, I feel really frustrated, and I know what I need to do.
Mhm.
I know what's going to make me feel better, my practice, breathing, meditation, whatever. But sometimes, like getting to that, what would you say to someone like me who knows what's good for them, but is really just really struggling with that? Is it a sense of discipline that's needed? What is it that carries you over the line and gets you into action?
Well, I think it's there are different ways. Obviously, the discipline definitely is there. It's the Nike, just do it, right?
Just
Don't
do it.
think about it. It really is just do it. And that helps. But you have to see then, for example, if you go with the Ashtanga. So you have maybe the primary series or the secondary series, and you feel rubbish, and you think, I can't do that. So then you have that choice, to do, okay, I'm not doing, I'm just staying in my bubble here. Or you can say, definitely I don't want to do this for an hour and a half, but I could do some shavasana to start off with. Yes,
Lying down.
some lying down, constructive way. I could do maybe a salute to the sun, or two,
Just like a
or
nice
let's say
day
three
sit.
is the minimum,
Hmm.
right? And for sure, after the third one, you will feel different
Yeah.
because your energy will have picked up. And it is a fine line, and no one else but you can decide. Are you truly ill and you can't really do it? And for you, a day of rest is good, or two or three. Or is it that you've been stuck there? And I think when you're stuck there, um, how long does it take? And if you have a sort of frustration in you, that means there's one side that wants to move on out of that. Then I would definitely say, have, if even Surya Namaskar is too much for you, do 3 times a few cats and cows and downward dog. Just it is this, when you look at from the yoga perspective, you have this tamasic quality, the inertia,
So can
tamasic
you
quality.
explain to people who haven't heard what
So we
is?
have 3 qualities that impact our mind, which is sattvic, which is a balanced state and clear and light, and rajasic, which is activity and when it goes too far, being critical or judgmental, or tamas, which is the quality of inertia, also of steadiness, but also when we're getting stuck, this tamasic quality is there too much, right? And it needs movement to get out of that. You need to have this physical push to move, and from there you can go again into clarity, or just staying with this mobility, but otherwise you just stay there. So something is needed, and it is something physical that is needed, that takes you out. You can go for a brisk walk, you still would feel different afterwards.
Yes, definitely.
But
Yeah.
it is the movement, and that keeps our system going, and the mind gets back from stuck into thinking, into having ideas, into looking for solutions, rather than, I can't do this, someone else has to do this, it's not me. This sort of seeing yourself as a victim, right?
Mm.
That's sort of this.
Yeah, that really is a big part of it, I think, for some people, and myself
Mm,
included sometimes. Oh, woe is me.
yes.
Poor me. No, I don't know.
Exactly.
It's too much. It's too much. When
Yeah.
actually it's exactly what we need, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But then you can say, you stay in that self-loathing for a while, and really overdo it, and really say, oh my God, this is so difficult. Oh, I can't do this anymore. There's no one who's helping me, you know. But there will come a point when your mind is fed up with that, because the mind is fickle, and it needs and it wants to change, and it gets bored quite easily also with that state of being stuck.
Mm,
But definitely regular movement, also what it does, if you come into that practice, it keeps you from swaying there and there and getting stuck in those in those moods for a longer time. Because if you have a regular practice and you're in that flow, these you still get stuck. I'm also of that personality where I can, it can be for months I'm just sailing, and then there comes something, and then everything comes to a hold, and I think, oh, you know, but
it's
if you
hard.
just don't listen to it too much, and you go on your mat, keep it there, have your place where you don't need to tidy up first, have your mat rolled out, and you just step on it, it will make a difference, and it will make you sort of move and then come out of that.
That's exactly what I do. My mat, I'm very lucky that I have my own little yoga room, but
Yeah.
just behind me here, I've got it rolled out. So I've got no excuse.
Exactly, it is really, because it is
There.
deep down, these are excuses of the
And I think
inertia calling. Oh, stay in bed for another 5 minutes.
it's really interesting actually, because I was actually going to do a podcast episode on this, because discipline is a bit of a dirty word, isn't it, in the kind
Yeah.
of wellness yoga industry. But I think it really has its place in the right context. We're not talking about, we're talking about self-care.
Yes, exactly. We're talking about, that's how you look after yourself.
And by looking, yeah, so sometimes we need that push to drive us through the negative spaces, don't we? Because actually we
Absolutely.
do know what's good for us, even though there are all sorts of parts of us psychologically, emotionally, that can be going, no, 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 you don't want to do that, keeping us small, keeping us
Yeah,
quiet, keeping us
that's right.
still.
And it also manifests in your body, because
Yeah,
sometimes you do get tummy hurts, you get headaches, you get migraines maybe, or your back hurts. I can't do that.
yeah.
And you have an excuse, where you could do something. Yeah. So my teacher always used to say, you always have a choice. You always have a choice. You might not like that choice that you have, but it's
Yeah.
there. There's no one sits there and sort of physically keeps you. It is always you, and it is always you who also who really you have to sort of get that energy and come out of it. But the energy, again, I come always back to that same conclusion. The energy keeps you going. The energy builds up as you are building up your practice and you have a regular practice. And then once it dips, and you stop, then the energy will fall as well, and you need to pick yourself up again. But if you are regular in your practice, make it these dips go, they are becoming less and less deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because you are creating a different base energy that you have. And I think that's the result of a discipline, but the discipline not with that flavor of you have to, but as a structure. And I think we do need structure.
Yeah, so let's just say to everyone out there, we're not talking about discipline as in get on your mat and do 100 sun salutations every day.
Exactly. No.
No, we're not talking about that. And we're not saying don't listen to your body. We're saying
No.
listen to your body, but when you know mentally that it's an inertia and it's a sense of it's coming from somewhere else, and that
Yeah.
actually moving through that will make you feel so much better and keeping that practice going.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
that's what yoga is about, discovering yourself, tuning in with yourself. And when you do that for a while, you do know your traits, and you can see these thoughts forming and you think, hold on, this is not where this want to go to. And you see yourself in these patterns and you see that loop coming, and then you take a stop to it, by saying, okay, I'm not listening to that, I'm just doing that now. And you see that you feel better afterwards. It's not when you have a fever and you schlep yourself onto the mat and
No.
uh, this is not what it is about, but it is really that getting to know yourself. And maybe at the beginning you have to go through these weeks on end where you feel stuck and you can't do anything, to come out of that and say, okay, I don't want to repeat that again. That was a little bit of waste of time and energy. And when this comes again, then you see it and then you stop it because you know where it leads you to. And that's what the discipline and the structure will show you.
Yeah, totally, 100%. I mean, I think there's so much we could talk about around this, and I think we need to have more. Um, we need to do this again a few more times, because there's so much to talk about. But I mean, for me, and I've said it before on here, and it'd be lovely to hear what the greatest gift yoga has given you. But for me, it is that sense of self-awareness. When I look
Mm,
back to even 5 years ago, yoga, I was very different. I mean, we all change all the time. I'm not explaining this very well, but meditation and yoga has just really it shows a mirror. It brings
mm,
a mirror up to your face, doesn't it? It makes you go, oh, why am I doing that? Why am I saying that? And that for me is been life-changing, completely life-changing.
mm. Yes, absolutely. I think the awareness is really that's what yoga rises, the
Yeah.
awareness of ourselves, of ourselves within that life, within these relationships that we have, and like you said, this mirror is there all the time, and it shows you, and it yeah helps you to be more in control or in charge. Maybe control is again a word that is not so, uh, that's not so, how shall I say? positive, but in charge of yourself, that you can see these patterns. We all have those, behavioral patterns, thinking
Mm.
patterns, and they're all in our subconscious area, and and they just run us in our life, and they always run us from a state of fear, because we don't know where this comes from all of a sudden, and and as we are going through practices and meditation, and we become aware of those, then we have the chance to change them,
Mm.
right? And then we have to we see how this thinking comes up, and we have to the choice to go with it or to think no, right? So in the Yoga Sutras, you have this, taking the negative thought into a positive thought. Because, once you go with your negative thought, oh, I can't do this, and you go all the way down the rabbit hole. And but at the same time, when you see that thought coming up, or you become aware that your thinking is very much in that negativity spool, then you can think, okay, I can turn that and think something different, or take this same thought or situation into a positive, because that's always there. But it is very difficult to do that. But the practice, it helps you to see these things, to be able to make these choices.
Yeah, it's very empowering, isn't it?
Super.
So empowering. I mean, because it gives you that level of a personal choice, and there's accountability there, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a realizing that no, I don't have to just react this way. I can
Yes.
I can pause and I can respond, or I can choose what to say next. I can choose how I act or what I do next, rather than just being this kind of automatic pilot on, you know.
Exactly. And it
Mm.
is when you become that person and become like, when you see this and you start to change, people around you, they do notice that, they
Yeah.
do notice that they can't wind you up all of a sudden anymore. In a relationship, that's great, because you think, I know what you're after, so I'm not going down that route. And you can make a different choice, or you can have a full-blown argument. But if you make a different choice, the other person will have to live with it, and maybe things, actually it is better not to go down there, because it doesn't lead you to anything.
Mm.
Because that's, I think, also what it is. It doesn't lead you to a new experience. It doesn't lead you to a new experience, which is a new information for you, that, oh, this could have gone this way as well, or if I don't react to that in that way, this is what's going to happen, and this is much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is really, it is, for me, this is invaluable, what yoga does. And it is, and I think it is also very specific to yoga, that
Mhm.
you have this outcome. And that's also why so many, um, in sports, so many people, they actually resort to yoga, because it just helps you on so many layers and so many levels, not just your body, but it is actually a practice for the mind, not for the body.
Yeah, completely. And I think, so many, we've talked about it, or I've talked about it on this podcast, especially in the Western world, it has kind of been reduced to stretching in leggings, is what I say. And that's just beyond ridiculous when you really understand what it's about. But if that gets some people into it initially, and then it turns into something else, then great.
Absolutely. I mean, we have to pick everyone up where they come from, and but when you teach for a long time, then you notice, or not you notice, someone comes through your door and you think, okay, this is a keeper, or I won't see this person anymore
Yeah.
before they have even started.
I know
And
exactly what you mean, and I haven't been teaching all the years you have. I know that that person's gonna come back, that person's not
yeah,
coming. Yeah,
exactly. It is, or it is really
interesting.
surprising if they show up again.
And it's not for everyone, is it?
No, it isn't. It is no, and it is absolutely fine. It really isn't for everyone because it's quite intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, at least that's what I'm teaching as well. In my teaching, it's intense in a way that because I encourage people to look at themselves, to look at and try to open that door a little more, that there's just so much more to it than this physical well-being, which is there and it's great. But this other realm of the mental well-being is so much more powerful
Mm.
because the mind is more powerful than the body.
Yeah. I mean, it's just fascinating, isn't it? I mean, there's just a wealth of stuff that we could talk about around this, but I'm aware that we are running out of time, and I was so loving talking to you. I don't want it to end, but how would you feel about coming back and doing another podcast with me?
Sure, I love talking as well.
Let's do that then, because we haven't talked about Ayurveda or anything, and I think a lot of people would really love to hear about that because still it's not very mainstream. So I'd love to have you
No,
back and
that's right.
yeah.
Yes, yes. And it is another very deep ocean, you know,
Yeah.
where we just see some ripples at the top, and think that's what it is. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask you. I'm starting a tradition with my podcast guests. But I'm going to ask a series of quick fire questions. I don't know who started this first in the interviewing world, but I remember someone really quite famous doing it, and I thought, oh, I love that. I don't know if it was Parkinson. No, I don't think it was Parkinson.
Could be. I don't know.
I know Rich Roll. If you know Rich Roll on his podcast, he used
Yes.
to do it. He doesn't do it anymore, which I was
Yeah.
sad about. Um, and I invite you to, they're not trick questions, but just to not really think too much,
Yes.
clear your mind, and just say the first thing that comes into your head.
So you want one thing, or you want like a sentence, or
Whatever you want, as long
okay.
as it's not like overthinking it.
Okay.
First thing that comes to your mind.
Start.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, question number 1. What is yoga?
Everything.
Consciousness is That's a hard one.
Becoming aware of things.
My favorite / current meditation practice is
Chanting.
leggings or baggy pants.
Both.
Nice. Favorite yoga pose?
Wheel pose.
Ooh.
Chakrasana.
Must read yoga book or text?
Bhagavad Gita. The Yoga Sutras. For beginners, the Heart of Yoga, Desikachar.
Still
Very
my
good
favorite.
entry into that,
Mm-hmm.
and many more.
If you were marooned on a desert island, classic question, what one yoga related item would you take with you?
I would take the Bhagavad Gita with me because it's a thick book and it has lots of things to think about on the desert island when you can't talk to someone. that would be my choice. You know,
Keep you going.
keep me going, because you can practice in the sand, right? And you have everything else there, but that, yes, that would be for the mental health.
Perfect. Choose one, ashram or yoga retreat.
Ashram.
Devotion for me looks like
Helping people.
last question of the day. Karma is
Karma is karma. Uh, is a good concept.
nicely put. I like that. We can end that there because that's a whole huge thing, isn't it?
This is another whole, episode.
That's a whole another 5 million episodes.
Exactly.
Oh, well, listen,
Oh,
Katja, thank you so much. I've so loved chatting to you like this. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming on.
I loved it. Absolutely. And thank you for having me, because I think it is really nice to have these sources, what you have, your podcast as a source of, showing different aspects of yoga, and that it's not just the physical aspect, but that there's just so much more to it.
Oceans, mountains, valleys, whole planets.
All of it.
Well, I look so forward to next time we get to chat. And
Yes, me
thank you
too.
so much. I'll see you again soon.
See you soon. Yes.
Bye.
Bye.